Welcome to the deserts of California. Vast, sunburnt expanses where jagged mountains rise from seas of sand and bizarre trees cling to an otherwise barren landscape. It's our goal to navigate over 1,000 miles of it via a network of remote dirt roads and rough trails. After 3 years and a failed attempt to get here, we have made it, and it has surpassed all of my expectations.
It looks like a sheer drop straight down into the wash.
That was like really, we're talking inches on either side. I wouldn't want to do that probably in a full size or a van or something. Didn't look scared at all.
Oh, red eye.
A little more throttle. Keep on the throttle, keep on the throttle. Okay, great. I don't think for anyone that this is what they think of when they think of Death Valley. Well, we are 1,200 miles from home, and after a couple of very long days on the road, this is an exciting morning because this is the morning that we are finally going to be hitting first dirt on a trip that I feel like I have been planning for years. We are in Southern California. We're just north of Joshua Tree National Park. We were in Southern California on an overland trip about 3 years ago, and ever since we left that trip, I have been planning another one, and this is that trip. So we have 2 weeks to travel through and explore some of the most iconic trails in Southern California. And I'm so excited to be here. The sun is shining. It's beautiful. We got perfect weather this morning. The trucks are all loaded up, so all that's left to do now is just work our way to the beginning of the trail and get on some dirt. All right, well, we just got off pavement onto the trail, and from what I understand, from what I've researched on this trail, the first part of it especially is really badly washboarded, which is my least favorite road surface. And about the only thing that you can do to make it any less miserable is let air out of your tires. So that's what we're gonna do. Plus we're gonna be off pavement for the next couple days anyway, so it just makes sense to do it now before we get on those washboards. Our loop begins in BLM land, north of the park boundary, taking us through a vast expanse of open desert. Well, on one hand, it feels really good to be off pavement and on dirt. On the other hand, what they said about this section of the road was right. It is very badly washboarded, so we're heading towards the mountains, and I think once we get into the mountains, it's going to become more rocky, but maybe a little less washboardy, which I would take. As we approached the mountains, the washboards mercifully disappeared, replaced by loose rock and some small, easy-to-navigate ledges. Getting into the mountains themselves, the trail became a bit more technical and a lot of fun. this descent, or most of it. There's a couple mines that I want to check out, so we should be pretty close at this point. Just made our first stop of the day along the trail, and we just decided to park the trucks because the side trail that leads to the first mine that we want to check out, this is a mining district after all, but the trail is really narrow and rocky, so we just decided to park the trucks and just walk down to it. That doesn't look like it's that far away. This was a gold mining area, and so these are apparently all old gold mines, and they're scattered around everywhere. We've passed probably half a dozen others that we didn't stop at, and there's just a few that I had marked that I really wanted to check out, and this is one of them. We made it to the mine. This one's called the Golden Egg Mine, I believe, and it's kind of cool. The building's still somewhat intact, and you can see some of the, like, it looks like up here there's maybe a sluice. I don't know. I only know gold mining from Gold Rush on the Discovery Channel. So what do I know? But yeah, pretty cool to see the building still standing, and a few more things to check out here as well. I wanted to see if I could maybe find a mine shaft or something, because I feel like that would be pretty cool. And I think I might have spotted one. Christine and Corey gave up. They're not following me. Can't say that I really blame them. I feel like I gotta be extra careful looking out for rattlesnakes, but I see something up here that I just want to check out. Mine shaft right there. How cool is that? Of course I didn't bring a flashlight because that's kind of what I do. Wow, look at that. Yeah, I don't want to go any deeper in there. I'll be honest. Well, that was pretty cool. I don't think it was a mine shaft. I think it just connected up to another part where maybe there's a mine shaft, another one I saw up there, but I'm not gonna go further up there, especially since it's just me and I don't have a flashlight. So par for the course, I guess. But pretty cool stop nonetheless, and got one more mine that we want to stop and check out. That's pretty close to this one, so I think we're gonna head to that one next. Well, this is the other mine that I wanted to stop and check out. This is the Sunset Mine is what it's called, and it's really just, I think, known for the California flag on one side and the American flag on the other, but it's pretty cool. I think there is actually a mine down there somewhere, but I think, as far as what I can tell, most people come to see this building. So we did it, and now we just need to work our way down the rest of this pass to where it flattens out, and hopefully it gets a little less rocky. That has been pretty fun. Well, as you can see behind me, we're about to enter Joshua Tree National Park, and I don't know what it is, but entering a national park through one of these dirt roads always feels like a little bit of a cheat code to me. It's like we're bypassing the main entrances where you have to wait in a line with all the other tourists. But I guess we did earn it. The pass coming through these mountains was pretty rocky and was a little bit gnarly, but a lot of fun, honestly. But I'm really looking forward to getting inside the national park and seeing what Joshua Tree has to offer. So let's go. Once inside the park, the road became much smoother, and before long, we had made it to our campsite for the night. Well, we have got camp set up, not our ideal camp situation in the sense that we are at a designated campsite here in Joshua Tree National Park, but it's kind of just how it goes here. Unfortunately, Joshua Tree National Park does not allow dispersed camping inside the park. So there are some areas on the north end and the south end and BLM land that you can camp out. None of them seemed really all that nice, so we just decided to stay inside the park. So that's what we're doing. But the nice thing with this is that there is a trailhead that goes to, I don't remember the name of it, but it's like a desert oasis that is just a short walk from our campground. So we're gonna go check that out and see what that looks like. Since we got here pretty early, got a little time to kill. This is cool. I don't think I've ever seen something that really feels like a desert oasis as much as this does. I mean, there is nothing but rock and the occasional Joshua tree around here. And then you dip into this little spot here and you got these giant palms. I don't know what they're called, but these are like my favorite palms. I've only seen them a couple times. And it's cooler in here, and I'm glad we did this. This is beautiful, and the desert never disappoints. And this is just day one, so we got a lot in store for us. Good morning from Joshua Tree National Park. Today I'm really looking forward to because we're gonna hit a couple of trails that I've been wanting to check out for quite some time, and we're gonna basically do a loop through Joshua Tree National Park, most of which is going to be off pavement. We're gonna hit a couple of canyons, maybe do a short hike. There's a couple things I want to check out, and yeah, just looking forward to making the most out of today and basically spending the entire day just exploring the park before we end up here again tonight, and we're gonna meet up with some friends who are gonna join us here and then be with us for the rest of the trip. So packing up the trucks now and gonna get after it. All right, so we're just about to get started on the Pinkham Canyon Trail. And I've got to say, I've been trying a new feature on Onyx on this trip. They have a navigation, which I didn't realize. It's a relatively new feature, but I'm trying it for the first time, like I said, and it works surprisingly well. I mean, if I'm honest, I didn't think that it would work that great, especially when you compare it to something like a Google Maps, which is like the king of navigation. But even using it on the highway, it's pretty good. And when you get off pavement and Google Maps basically becomes useless, it becomes really helpful, especially if you have waypoints or a route. You can just tap on it and you can click to navigate to it, and it'll take you right there. So something new that I'm figuring out with Onyx, and it's so far been pretty helpful on this trip. But yeah, anyway, I'm excited to hit this trail. Fun, but it's pretty slow going. There's a lot of little washes and whoops and everything. So it's like as soon as you start to get any sort of speed, you gotta hit the brakes because there's just like a big dip. So it's definitely slower going than I thought. We were like 5 to 10 miles an hour. I was hoping it'd be a little faster, but it's pretty. So enjoy it.
All right, so we just got out of the trucks because we're towards the end of Pinkham Canyon Trail, and it's kind of an obstacle here, so we're just getting out to walk it and make sure that we know what line we're going to take, and I'm pretty sure that the camera isn't going to do this obstacle justice.
I'm gonna be honest, this last section of the Pinkham Canyon Trail, just before we get to the end, it's really kind of wearing on me. It's just rocky and it's tight and it's just through these prickly bushes, and it's nothing too technical, but it's like 3-4 miles an hour, and we've been on it for like, I don't know, an hour, and it's not terrible, but it's just one of those trails that just kind of, I don't know, wears on my patience after a while. So thankfully we're almost done, almost at the end. So hopefully the next trail is a little more open than this one has become.
It wasn't until we reached the main connector road that I realized my error. Somewhere towards the end of Pinkham Canyon, the trail had become sort of a choose-your-own-adventure situation, and I had taken one of the dozens of side trails that split off from the main one by mistake. So, oops. Anyway, we'd take this main road to a close-by gas station to top off our tanks before beginning our next trail, which would take us back into Joshua Tree National Park, this time from the south.
Purdue Canyon is shaping up to be just as rocky as Pinkham Canyon.
Yeah, just as rocky. Maybe a little more technical. It's kind of weird because on the Onyx ratings, Pinkham Canyon is rated a 4, Purdue Canyon's rated a 3. The ranger told us Purdue Canyon would be the more technical of the two. And so far she's right. There's a couple of like rocky obstacles so far we've hit that I think were probably more challenging than anything we did on Pinkham Canyon. But it's a fun trail. I'm really enjoying this one.
Alright, so we just came up on a spot that's marked on Onyx as the Stone Garden? Rock Garden. Stone or rock? Rock Garden. Okay.
Spending a little bit of time in 4 Low today. This trail, a rocky climb here, and fun little obstacles.
Keep going. Hold that line. Yep. Yep. You're clear.
Sweet.
Exiting this narrow and rocky section of Purdue Canyon, the trail opened up and we found ourselves in a very different landscape than the one we had grown accustomed to over the past few days.
We got into Joshua Tree National Park yesterday, and driving through there, I was complaining to Jeff that there were no Joshua trees. This part of Joshua Tree National Park has all the Joshua trees. They're everywhere, as far as the eye can see, which is awesome because that's what I was expecting to see in Joshua Tree National Park.
Well, we're back at camp, and man, it was a pretty long day.
It was a lot longer than I think we were all expecting, but
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It was great. We managed to do 2 trails. We did Pinkham Canyon Trail, we did Purdue Canyon Trail, and it was a little bit technical. It was fun. It was a little slow going, rocky. Definitely got bounced around a lot. There was a point in the middle of the day where I was like, I got to get out of the truck because this is getting really old. But overall, it was really fun. And then seeing the desert change was super cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool being in the, I guess it's called the transition zone between where the Mojave Desert and the Colorado Desert kind of meet. And it was cool to see the change in vegetation and seeing a ton of birds and wildlife on the Mojave side, but not so much on the Colorado desert side. But it was awesome, nonetheless.
We basically did a full loop of Joshua Tree National Park, which we really got to see a lot of it. So we did Old Dale Road yesterday, up over that mountain pass in the mining district into Joshua Tree from the north. And then obviously today we did Pinkham Canyon, which is kind of along the south, and then Purdue Canyon along the west. So if you are somebody who likes to explore national parks off-road, like we do, we saw like 3 people today.
Yeah, all
the
day.
entire day. 3 people. It's 3 Jeeps coming the other direction. And if you like to explore that way, Joshua Tree National Park is great for that. There's so much to explore off pavement.
The fact that we got to explore the entire park, I think is awesome.
Yeah.
So
now, our friends just arrived, by the way. They just pulled into camp. Connolly and Michelle, if you've watched our videos, you've seen them in a lot of our other adventure videos. But anyway, we're gonna go say hi to them, and then tomorrow morning we are gonna get out of camp here. We're gonna head south to Anza Borrego, and we're gonna spend a couple days exploring down there, which I'm really excited about. What's up? What's up?
wasn't bad.
You guys made it. Good to see you.
We had a leisurely.
Oliver, what's up, Oliver? Bear. Well, we left Joshua Tree National Park early this morning, and after about 3 hours on the road, we are really close to the California-Mexico border. It's like just over there. But we're here because we are gonna spend the next few days exploring Anza Borrego State Park. This is a place that I have watched dozens of YouTube videos on over the years, and I've always wanted to check out. It always has looked really interesting to me, but I've just never had the opportunity. And so we worked it into this trip, and we're gonna spend the next 3 days pretty much off pavement. We just left pavement, we aired down the tires, and I think it's all dirt from here for the next 3 days. So there's gonna be canyons and there's gonna be hikes and just all kinds of things to explore. And I'm really excited to do some dispersed camping out here as well. So this is time to hit the trail and see what Anza Borrego's got going on. Made our first stop along the trail and stopped at this kind of little funky area by this old railroad. There's some abandoned structures around and this kind of cool water tower, especially if you like it a funk. It's pretty cool graffiti. But just taking a little water break and back in the trucks here and continue on our way.
Obstacles that we need to check out before we actually drive over them.
We'd arrived at a narrow section of trail known as Peepcorn Slot, named after Mark Peepcorn, who died of a heart attack here on the trail in 1996. This would be our first real challenge of the day, as the canyon walls encroached on the trail, creating a number of tight squeezes we would need to spot our way through.
A little more driver. Okay, now straighten out a little bit. Hold that line. Perfect. Real slow, straight towards me. Just like that. Doing great. Okay, now nice and slow. You're going to come down in the front here. Nice and slow. Great job. Okay, you're perfect. Keep going straight. The rear might come up a little bit, but that's okay. Doing great. Yeah, okay, perfect. Now just go straight. Keep going forward. Now cut driver a little bit. Just like that. Now stop and keep coming. little more driver. Okay. Now straight. Straighten out a bit. Okay, now straight. Now hold up. So just keep coming straight here. You should be okay.
How was it as a spotter?
As a spotter, I suspect it was probably easier than driving. Honestly, if I'd been driving, I would have been more stressed out than spotting. That was a lot of fun. I mean, that was like really, we're talking inches on either side. I wouldn't want to do that probably in a full size or a van or something. But yeah, we all made it through, and I don't know, spotting was kind of fun, so I enjoyed it. I don't know how you all felt, but I enjoyed it.
As a driver, I thought that that was a lot of fun. It definitely helps to have a spotter like Jeff. Jeff is really good at making sure I know where my tires are, which side to turn, and that is super helpful when it comes to driving obstacles like that. All right, Connolly, what do you think of that obstacle?
I think that was fun. Jeff was clutch there as the spotter. Couldn't have done it without him. Maybe a little bit better.
Now through Peepcorn Slot, we made our way through the canyon until we arrived at the next spot this trail is known for.
It looks like a sheer drop straight down into the wash.
Keep coming. Keep coming. You're starting to slide. You're starting to slide. Yep. Now driver, 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 driver.
Christine's down!
Yep. You're just going to start to slide down on the front. Good. Keep coming. Good. 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 You're pretty much home clear.
What a trail to start our time in Anza Borrego. This trail that we're on right now has been so much fun, but it has been a challenge. It has thrown everything at us. Some really narrow canyons that we had to pick our way through and spot, some steep drops into washes, some steep climbs up washes. I've gotten to play with all the toys in the Tacoma, For Low, the Locker, MTS, and I am just having a blast. And we're only about halfway through this technical trail that we're on, but we just decided to stop and set up camp, as you can see behind us, because the sun is starting to get low in the sky, and we don't know how long it's going to take to get off this trail, because if it's like the first half of the trail, it's going to take us a while. But an amazing day and such a beautiful landscape here. It's gorgeous. We're surrounded by mountains in all directions. Kind of reminds me of the Sonoran Desert a little bit, in the sense that there are these big peaks and cactus everywhere. But yeah, as I'm recording this, the sun just dipped below this mountain peak behind us, and it's cooled down already, which is nice because it was over 90 degrees today, and being out running around and spotting and all of that, it definitely took its toll. So just gonna relax for the rest of the night and hang out with everyone, and then we'll pick up again tomorrow. Breakfast tacos for dinner, eggs, barbacoa, guac, and salsa. Not bad.
What do you think, Albert?
Oh, you want some?
It's Taco Tuesday.
Oh shit, it's Tuesdays. beautiful morning at camp. This is incredible, and it's so still right now, which I think we have to be really thankful for, because this campsite that we're in this part of Anza Borrego is known to get really windy, and it was a little windy last night, but nothing too bad. But it is warm. I think the low last night was 72, and it's 7:15 a.m. right now, and it's probably in the mid 70s already with the sun up. It's supposed to be over 90 today, so I don't think we're going to be hanging around camp too much longer because it's going to get hot. So we're going to hit the trail, see what the rest of this trail looks like, because as you saw yesterday, we didn't finish it. It was much more technical than I think we were expecting, but it was a lot of fun. So it'll be interesting to see if the second half of it is also technical, or if it's more of just a sandy wash. But I guess we'll find out, and then just continue working our way north through the park. And there's some sites that I want to see, some things I want to stop and check out. I've been looking forward to for quite some time. So today should be a pretty good day, especially because I am hyped on caffeine from espresso. So let's go.
As it turned out, the remainder of yesterday's trail was nothing more than a simple, straightforward sandy wash. And so after just a few minutes, it was on to the next.
Well, we just made our first stop of the day along this beautiful canyon that we've been driving in. It's just been so nice. But there's apparently some mud caves up here, so we're just walking to check them out. We had them marked on our map, and curious to see what this looks like. This must be it. There's a bunch of mud caves around here apparently. And this one, oh man, when you walk in, it drops like 20 degrees immediately. It keeps going in there, but of course, in true Where to Next Overland fashion, no light source, no flashlight, no headlamp, of course.
These caves were created by water flowing through a thick deposit of silt, and are widely considered to be the most extensive mud cave system anywhere in the world. Definitely a worthwhile stop to check out if you're in the area.
We just stopped at what is maybe the most well-known obstacle in Anza Borrego, at least per all the videos I've watched, and that is the Diablo drop-off. And I don't know if the parks have graded it recently or if we've just done some stuff that's way gnarlier, but looking at it right now, it looks like maybe one of the easier drops that we've done. So there's the trucks, and then the drop is just this right here, and then it goes down along here. I think there might be another drop, a second drop down there somewhere. There are a couple of other line options that are a little bit more difficult, a little bit more rutted out, but at least as far as what's mandatory so far, looks pretty easy. So I think we're just gonna crawl on down. No need for a spotter or anything like that. So after a little bit of time on pavement, we're now on the north end of Anza Borrego, and we've come across the first obstacle. You see they've got a sign here, high clearance 4x4 vehicles only, and it's because there's another drop off here. This one pretty steep, but it looks kind of like Diablo drop off where it's been graded recently. So there's some moguls, but not too bad. I'm not gonna walk any further down because I might do that and I have to walk back up. Little slow. You're gonna dip a little bit driver, turn driver. Okay, and just nice and slow. Creep on down, just like that. Perfect, you hit bottom, now straighten out a little bit. Keep coming forward, you're fine. Now hard driver. Full gas. Stop.
With the axles crossed up, I took this as an opportunity to teach Christine how to use the Tacoma's traction control system to get her unstuck.
So up here, I'm going to push MTS, and I'm going to punch left enter.
Okay, now just a little bit of steady throttle like you were before. Traction control should kick in. A little more throttle. Keep on the throttle, keep on the throttle. Okay, great. Now, turn passenger. A little more passenger. Yep, hold that line. Good job. Keep on coming, keep on going. Okay, straighten out and just give them a little bit of room. After what ended up being a really long day on the trail today, we came across a campsite that was too good to pass up. So well, we didn't pass it up. You can see we're camped back here, which is perfect. We're tucked into these canyon walls here, and our thought process was kind of twofold there. One, there's shade, and this is one of the first shaded spots we've come across all day. And it's like 96 degrees out right now, and it doesn't look like it's gonna cool off very much. And then we also figured with these canyon walls, it might give us some protection from the wind. But anyway, it was a really fun day today, second day exploring Anza Borrego. Lots of canyons today, just canyons everywhere. Driving through so many canyons that it was just kind of like at some point, it was like, oh, there's another canyon. And usually that's kind of a big deal. Some of the roads were really fun. Some were a little bit technical, like this one that we just came in on here. And some of them were really badly washboarded. And God, after like an hour of washboard roads, I'm over it. Anyway, just gonna enjoy this beautiful camp spot for the night. I know we got a little bit more time tomorrow to continue exploring further north, but for now, just gonna hang out with everybody and grab a cold drink and sit down. Good morning. Man, I was not expecting this to start the day. I got up early, and so I just figured I'd go for a little walk out of camp before the sun hits the canyon and things get really hot. And there's a trailhead that just kind of butts up against our campsite. So I was just gonna go for a little walk, and I just rounded the corner, and there's this little slot canyon that you can kind of scramble up, which I did, and it levels out and it keeps going, and it just is beautiful in here. And I wanna go further, but the sun is starting to come up, and I did not bring any water because I wasn't planning on a full-blown hike. But man, just a reminder that when you get out and explore on foot, sometimes the things you see, even this isn't even a named hike as far as I can tell, and it's just spectacular. But yeah, Anza Borrego has been amazing, and we're not done yet. We've got the morning to explore. We're gonna hit a viewpoint. We're gonna hit this sculpture park that I've seen that I've always wanted to check out. And we've got to finish up this trail, which may have some more obstacles in store for us. So it should be a really good morning as we wrap up Anza Borrego later today. But I'm so excited that we got to do this, and it's absolutely been worth it. Beautiful down here, the canyons and the rock formations, and especially these rocks, all of the different types of rocks embedded in the stone. Man, it's different. It's a different landscape. And yeah, you know, we always say we love the desert, but this is why. We love the desert. But I guess I probably better head back to camp, because I can see the sun starting to come up on these hills behind me, and it's gonna get really hot when that happens. So head back to camp, and we'll probably just slowly start packing up and hit the trail.
I returned to camp to find a swarm of honeybees seemingly desperate for water all around the back of the truck, and this made packing up quite, well, interesting, as you can probably imagine. Took a little bit of a detour outside of Anza Borrego to stop at the Gallet Meadows Metal Sculpture Park, and this is pretty cool. Actually, it's way bigger than I thought. It's in many different sections, and right now we're checking out the dragon, which is I think by far the biggest sculpture, starting back there. And as I continue to walk, it just keeps on going. In fact, it's so big that it crosses the street and continues on where the tail is down there. But yeah, there's all kinds of sculptures, and what's really cool about it is you can kind of just drive through this little sandy area and check them all out, and it's kind of choose your own adventure as far as how you want to approach it. But yeah, worth the stop for sure. If you're in Borrego Springs or near Borrego Springs, I don't really know why you would be, but if you were, you should definitely stop here and check it out. After leaving the sculpture park, we turned off pavement one last time for what turned out to be one hell of a grand finale for our time here in Anza Borrego. Didn't look scared at all.
Oh, Britta, hi.
Things I make you do. Okay, you can back away.
I don't know if this will do this justice. Like, this is amazing. I love the desert so much. So cool.
What you're looking at here are the Borrego Badlands, severely eroded sedimentary rocks laid down by the ancient Colorado River. This was once a land totally unlike anything we see today. It was once covered by lakes, ponds, and savannas, a place where giant ground sloth, saber-toothed cats, and mammoth roamed. And before that, much of it was underwater, a landscape comprised of colorful reefs and sandy beaches. If a place like this doesn't inspire curiosity about Earth's geologic history, well, I don't know what would.
Well, this is our last stop in Anza Borrego, and I cannot imagine a better way to cap off our time here. This is Fonts Point is the spot that we're at, and I believe it might be the highest point in Anza Borrego, and we're overlooking these Badlands. And I was not expecting the drop to be this dramatic. This is probably second only to the Grand Canyon in terms of just a sheer vertical drop from where we are right now. and it's just beautiful. It's a landscape that I've never seen before. It looks totally alien, but I guess that's pretty representative of Anza Borrego and the Badlands and the canyons. And I think a lot of this was a sea at some point, and apparently the Colorado River carved out a lot of what we see here as well. Man, the American Southwest, again, it just never disappoints, and Anza Borrego is no exception. So a little bit bummed that we're gonna have to leave, but excited to push north, because the next part of our trip is gonna be Death Valley, which we've been to once before, but we only got to spend like a night there. And we're hoping to spend like 3 to 4 days exploring in Death Valley and checking out a lot of places that have been on our bucket list for a really long time. So I guess it's time to get in the trucks and push north and start the next part of the adventure. Well, after a couple of really fun days exploring the trails down in Anza Borrego, we're back in the truck and we're heading north, which was the plan, but we're also really, really excited to kind of escape the heat. And it sounds really weird to say this, because the way that we're going about escaping the heat, we're going to a place you would never go typically to escape the heat, which is where?
We are going to Death Valley.
Yeah, that's something I never thought that I would say.
Yeah, we're going to Death Valley to escape the heat because it is supposed to be 15 degrees cooler in Death Valley than it has been for us in Anza Borrego.
But before we get into Death Valley, we're going to head to another spot that I've been looking forward to checking out for quite some time, and that is Trona Pinnacles. Sort of a small area with these really interesting geologic features, and so we're heading up there to camp tonight and just poke around and explore a little bit, and that will set us up for Death Valley the following day. So really excited for Death Valley, but also really looking forward to getting to Trona Pinnacles tonight. So anyway, that's the plan. Looks like we got about 3.5 miles on this road, and then we'll be at the beginning of the loop that kind of loops around the Trona Pinnacles.
We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
Man, Trona Pinnacles is so much fun. There's just these little trails that go everywhere up against these rock formations, and there's dispersed camping everywhere and campsites, and it's just like an endless series of little trails, and there's some fun little obstacles. It's better than I was expecting. I think at this point, we are just trying to find a campsite and hopefully something that is tucked in because the wind is really bad. I think that's one thing about Trona Pinnacles is the wind can be really bad here, and it's pretty rough today. So we're going to try and find some shelter for the wind. We'll see how successful we are, but hopefully we can come up with something.
We're driving cars on a Mars tonight. We're blasting off to the stars tonight. We wanna go, go. We wanna go, go.
All right, well, we finally settled on a campsite. We drove around for about an hour checking out every possible campsite to see if there were any that would give us some sort of protection from the wind that is here right now, because it is brutal. I knew that Trona Pinnacles is known to be windy. I knew it was going to be a little bit windy today, but I did not expect 35-mile-an-hour gusts and 25-mile-an-hour sustained winds. That's what we've got for the next 4 or 5 hours. So it's really just about enduring the wind, trying to hide as best we can, stay tucked in. Thankfully, we got the campers, so I might just take a nap for a little bit to get out of the wind. But beautiful area. We've got the rock formations for company, so at least we got that, the dry lake bed and the mountains behind that. And hopefully it calms down overnight like it's supposed to, so we can do a little bit of exploring in the morning.
It's very, very windy. Is that other campsite less windy?
I'm sure it's the same. Same. It never fails. There's usually at least one night on a trip that we do where we have to, because of really bad wind, have to lean heavily on some freeze-dried meals. And I'm really excited because we picked up some freeze-dried meals at Expo last summer. I'm going to be having the black bean bowl with pork carnitas tonight. And Jeff is going to have the cheese chile relleno. So let's boil some water and see what this is going to taste like.
Five minutes later.
All right, I'm going to try my black bean bowl with pork carnitas and a mango pico de gallo. It's really flavorful. And the pork, super juicy. I like this one.
All right, cheese chili relleno. So the cheese actually melted in there. Look at that, it's got melty cheese. That looks pretty legit. Let's see how it is. I mean, that's pretty good. It's a little spicy. You could really taste the cheese. I am a big fan of Mountain House. And this is way better than Mountain House, if I'm being honest. So I think this is gonna replace the Mountain Houses that we are carrying right now. I'm pretty happy. I could eat this just camping on a normal night. It wouldn't have to even be miserable and windy, and I wouldn't be mad about this.
As I mentioned earlier, this spot where we had set up camp was at one point submerged deep underwater. And if you're anything like me, you're probably wondering how these bizarre rock formations were formed. So let me explain. Somewhere between 10,000 and 100,000 years ago, faults along the riverbed poured hot, CO2-rich water into the bottom of the lake. This carbonate reacted with calcium from existing sediments in the lake, forming tufa, a type of limestone. The tufa eventually formed pinnacles, known today as the Trona Pinnacles. Eventually, the lake dried up, leaving the spires exposed and visible on the dry lake bed. As the sun sank, the pinnacles were illuminated in a vivid shade of gold. It was a stunning sight. And it only got better once the sun dipped below the horizon.
Well, the sun has set, and what a beautiful sunset it was. The way that the light hits these rock formations, sunsets at Trona Pinnacles are beautiful, and I'm really glad we came, even though It has been windy all day. We've, I think, weathered the worst of the wind. It's supposed to die down a little bit overnight, so hopefully that is true and we have a calm morning tomorrow. But you know, sometimes it's days like today where the weather doesn't cooperate, things don't go exactly to plan, that end up being the most memorable nights on trips. And I know that this is going to be a night that we're all going to remember sitting, sheltering behind the trucks and eating dehydrated dinners. But anyway, I think now that the sun has gone down, I think we're all just going to climb into our tents because we're kind of just over the wind. But hopefully get an early jump tomorrow morning and get to explore a little bit before we head out and head into Death Valley. So good night. Just walking around and exploring the scenery, and I almost forgot to mention that yesterday, while we were just kind of taking shelter from the wind, Michelle found what I guess would be considered a geocache. It was in a kind of an interesting tucked away spot, I will say, and it was like an old-timey film canister is the only way that I could really think of to describe it. And inside there was a logbook and a few other items, and it looked like it had been there since 2016, and generally maybe every 6 months or so, somebody would find it and add to the log and put it back. And so I'm not gonna say where it was because I feel like that would ruin it, but if you follow the clues in this video, you might be able to find it. And we added some stickers and a few other things in there. So if you do find it, let us know. Because if you're into that kind of stuff, it's kind of a cool challenge, right? But yeah, if you do find it, let us know.
Good morning. It's not windy.
It's not windy. Finally, it's not windy. I think the wind kept going most of the night last night. I think it finally died down around 4 o'clock. But now there's basically no wind. What a difference a day makes.
Yep.
How'd you sleep with the wind?
I slept okay. It definitely was, it was really windy. I mean, with the wind howling all day, I could actually feel the truck shaking a bit. But yeah, it's so different right now compared to 12 hours ago.
Yeah, so we're gonna pack up the trucks and head into Death Valley, which
I'm super excited about.
Yeah, I think this is the thing we've been most excited about as we're planning this trip.
Yep.
So should be a great day, and we'll see what we get into in Death Valley. All right, well, we have made it to Death Valley. We're about to enter the park, and we're over on the Panamint Springs side on the west end of the national park. This is the part of the trip that we've been looking forward to probably the most over the past couple months as we've been planning, and here it is. Today we're gonna start hitting some trails in Death Valley and exploring some parts of the park that we have been wanting to check out for a very long time and haven't had a chance to do yet. So it's gonna be a fun couple days. It is pretty impressive how quickly we're gaining elevation. That's one of the things about Death Valley that I never realized until we started coming here is the elevation swings, because obviously you have the lowest point in America, I don't know, 200 feet below sea level or something like that. And then now we're up here at probably 4,000 or 5,000 feet. I think we're supposed to get up to potentially 8,000 or 9,000 feet today with the trail that we're gonna be on, which is just wild in the span of like probably a mile or two as the crow flies. You go from like 0 feet to 8,000 feet, which means the landscape is super dramatic. So this is our last stop before we hit the trail. Let's go.
The crew just got off of pavement. We're about to hit the trail. We're going to go from Hunter Mountain to Racetrack Playa. We have no idea what is in store for us and what this trail has to offer, but let's see what we get into.
Like Christine said, we really didn't know what was in store for us. When we'd asked about trail conditions at the gas station, we were given wildly conflicting intel. One clerk telling us we'd need a lifted Jeep on 40s, while the other said they'd done it in their Subaru the year prior. So we just have to see for ourselves. Before long though, a point of interest on the map caught our attention, so we broke off the main trail to go check it out.
So this is the Boxcar Cabin, and Connolly and Michelle had been here before, and they suggested we should stop because it was literally right on our route. And it's kind of one of those just little funky cabins that it's stocked with stuff. You could spend a night in there, make a fire, pretty well equipped, honestly, and kind of weird, just like you'd expect from something like this in the desert. We're about to head back into the national park in just a couple of miles, and that's when the real fun should begin.
Before long, we re-entered the national park, and as we began to climb, a rather impressive Joshua tree forest emerged, seemingly thriving at the higher altitude. As we continued further up the mountain, the Joshua trees were replaced by a rather unexpected sight: a pine forest.
We really scored on this campsite. This is amazing and incredibly unexpected. We're in the middle of Death Valley National Park right now, and I don't think for anyone that this is what they think of when they think of Death Valley. We're at almost 7,000 feet right now, and the landscape is as far away from the barren desert as you can get. I mean, look at this, grass and trees, and there are still some cactus around as well. So there's a little bit of everything up here. And another bonus is that it is substantially cooler. It's probably about 70 degrees. It's supposed to get down to 49 degrees tonight. We checked the weather forecast on the Garmin. So this will be our coolest night, but after a handful of days in the desert, that is a welcome thing. And I'm feeling the elevation right now as I walk around. We climbed very, very quickly, but it's just another reason why I love Death Valley so much, is that you have such a variety of terrain. I mean, just look at this. There's birds, the wind in the trees. It's very peaceful. And so far anyway, the road to get up here, which we had been told was very rough and very difficult by a couple of different people, seems to have been recently graded, at least this part of it. So far, it's been very pretty, very scenic, and I'm just looking forward to spending a night up in these mountains, in these trees, and cooling off a little bit. She duct taped like half the thing closed. And I was just like, and there was just like feathers like separate.
On every trip, the adventure crew always does double-decker Taco Supreme night at camp. And tonight is that night. So, made my taco. Let's see how it tastes. So good!
I just love being the first one up at camp and walking around and exploring. And this spot is just, I don't know really how else to describe it other than peaceful. This is maybe one of the more peaceful campsites that I've been at in a while. I think it's a combination of the birds and the wind and the trees, and especially just after being in the desert for the last week, the change in scenery is amazing. And I was also thinking it's kind of funny because the last time we were in Death Valley, we had the coldest camp night of any night on our Southern California trip. And last night was the coldest camp night of our trip so far. And it's in Death Valley. So apparently, if you want to escape the heat and get some very chilly weather, come and camp in Death Valley. Of course, the caveat there is we're not actually in the valley. We're up on a mountain at almost 7,000 feet. But still, I think that's kind of a funny thing. And today, we've got a big day today. We've got numerous points of interest that we've been excited for a long time that we're going to check out today. But first, we got to get off this mountain. And we've got about a 4,000 foot descent coming in a very short period of time. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but hopefully not too bad to get us down to the valley floor below. And then we've got Lippincott Pass, which will be something we'll do this afternoon, which I've been excited for a long time, which is kind of a notorious rough and rocky and difficult shelf road, and then just find another spot to camp in the park. It's going to be a great day.
Our morning summarized in just a few seconds. Descended the mountain, and the views were great, although a camera very nearly met its fate. Could it be more Joshua trees? It looked as if Dr. Seuss had penned this land by hand. We then encountered the world's finest sand. Thankfully, though, we were in the lead. Probably didn't help the others that we hit it with speed. Finally, we arrived at our first stop. Being a YouTuber, I demanded that all the trucks were aligned, and Christine was excited as she had bought in a shop something to leave behind.
This is a place that I have been waiting to check out since the very first time we were in Death Valley several years ago, and that is Tea Kettle Junction. On our first day here, I ended up getting a tea kettle, and over the course of the trip, we have been drawing all over this thing so that we can leave it behind here at Tea Kettle Junction.
Gotta give it away, give it away, give it away to the ones you love.
We are walking on the racetrack out to this here. We're gonna check that out.
We're at Racetrack Playa. Finally, after 3 years and a failed attempt to get here, we have made it, and it has surpassed all of my expectations. It is beautiful here, and this rock formation, these rocks in the middle, to be able to climb up them and get this vantage point, which is where I am now. I just scrambled to the top. What a view, and it's just such a stark contrast to the mountains that are all around this playa. How cool would this have looked filled with water? And then of course there's the story of why it's called Racetrack Playa, which might be the most interesting part about this place.
This is Racetrack Playa, a dried up lake bed, and this is the rock formation known as the Grandstand, where I am currently. There are a few interesting things about this place. One, it's exceptionally flat. One of the flattest surfaces on Earth, in fact, with the northern end of the playa being just 1.5 inches higher than the southern end. But why the name, Racetrack? The answer turns out to be one of Death Valley's most enduring mysteries, and it all has to do with rocks that occasionally tumble from the surrounding mountains and land on the playa. And once they do, these rocks, some weighing up to 700 pounds, begin to move on their own, forming strange tracks on the playa. And for nearly 80 years, no one had been able to answer the question of how or why this happens. But in 2014, the rocks were observed moving for the first time. For this to happen required a rare combination of events. First, the playa must fill with just the right amount of water. That water must then turn into ice during a cold winter night. Then the sun must heat the ice enough to break it up into large floating panels, which light winds can then drive across the playa pool. The ice sheets push the rocks in front of them, and the moving stones leave trails in the soft mud below the pool surface. Just a few miles south of the racetrack, we arrived at the beginning of one of Death Valley's most notorious trails, Lippincott Pass.
This is my favorite kind of road. I freaking love roads like this. The views, the shelves. I'm a weirdo.
All right, Connolly, I know you're not typically a fan of shelf roads, so I would love to know what you thought of Lippincott Pass.
I just looked 5 feet in front of my tires and did not look down.
Were you scared at all?
I was scared. I'm scared of heights, so I'm scared of looking down this steep ridge. Lucky enough, the steepest parts, I was closest to the mountain, so I think the passenger was closer to the edge than I was. You just drive slow and we're done.
You did great.
Thank you.
With the day wearing on, we decided it was time to find camp. So we pointed the trucks west and soon found ourselves in a surprisingly green canyon with some unexpected traffic.
Come on, move. There you go, fly away. Oh, shit. I mean, I would too.
Then through another Dr. Seuss forest and eventually just outside the park boundary, where we found a quiet spot to call home for the night.
Well, we just made camp west of Death Valley. We're actually in BLM land right now. We exited the park and just found this little area that is beautiful. It's kind of a transition zone where there's Joshua trees, and then the Joshua trees fade away and it's higher elevation stuff, but it's beautiful, and it should be a little bit cooler here, which we all agree we preferred versus some of the hotter nights we've had in the desert. And I've got to say, the west side of Death Valley is one of my favorite places that I've explored, and today was really an exceptionally great day, hitting Racetrack Playa, hitting Tea Kettle Junction, and Lippincott Pass. Lippincott Pass, I'm a sucker for a good shelf road. I'm weird like that, and Lippincott Pass was a proper shelf road experience. And so, yeah, days on the trail don't get much better than this. But looking forward to relaxing tonight. Really feel like we maximized our time in Death Valley, but we've still got some more exploring to do on this trip, so yeah, it's not over yet. Just gonna relax, hang out together as a group. This is the last night that we're all going to be together because Corey's got to split off tomorrow. But we do have a fun trail that we're gonna explore tomorrow. So it's not the end of the trip, but I think we're just gonna shut the camera off and enjoy this scenery and enjoy the rest of the evening together. We made camp last night just outside the west end of Death Valley National Park. We're in BLM land, and we just found this nice little spot to kind of tuck in and call home for the night with some Joshua trees. You can see one behind me, and we're getting up into the mountains. We're kind of camped at the base of the Inyo Mountains, and our goal for the day is to climb up and over the Inyo Mountains and visit kind of a famous ghost town called Cerro Gordo, which I believe was the largest silver mine in California at one time. Something like 4,000 people lived up there. So we're excited to check that out and just get up into the mountains. I think we'll hit some shelf roads. Not quite sure what to expect with the trail because I think as of not that long ago, it was still snowed in. We're gonna be climbing up to like 9,000 feet, which kind of blows my mind considering that just east of here in Death Valley, the elevation is below sea level. Just amazing how much it changes, how quickly it changes out here. So should be a fun day. This is the last day of our 2-week trip down here in Southern California, or at least the last day that we're going to be out on the trail. So we are determined to get the most out of today and have a blast. So I think everybody's pretty eager to get camp broke down, and so we're going to work on that and hit the trail.
on the Cerro Gordo Trail, and we found ourselves in a rock garden where it's pretty slow going. It's kind of big gravelly rocks and some big boulders here and there. You see this rock here? Ear clear. This is what we're working with. You're coming up at the top. You're clear on both sides.
Well, just jumped out of the truck. It's like we got a little obstacle here, nothing too crazy, but a little squeeze through some rocks. You can see there, so shouldn't be a big deal. Just stay passenger side and might use a rock slider. Looks kind of fun. It's a fun little trail. Enjoying it so far.
As we're climbing in elevation, noticing there's a lot less Joshua trees and there's more pine trees. There's a pretty dense forest of pine trees here. And then looking further ahead, definitely look like there's less vegetation as we get higher up into the mountain. So it's just pretty cool to see how different things are as you climb in elevation.
Soon, the trail began one final steep ascent, and as it did, evidence of the area's mining past was suddenly all around us. Then, just as we crested the summit, the ghost town of Cerro Gordo came into view, and its story is one too good not to tell. Cerro Gordo's history as a mining town began in 1865, when Mexican prospectors arrived and began mining silver ore. What started as a small operation grew quickly, so quickly that by 1869 the Cerro Gordo mine was the largest producer of silver ore in the United States. The boom was on, and the population ballooned to a peak of 4,500 residents. In 1871, the American Hotel was built. This hotel, at the time, was considered to be the finest hotel west of the Mississippi, and it stood until 2020 when it burned down due to a suspected electrical fire. The isolated nature of Cerro Gordo attracted a rough crowd, and it became a town synonymous with lawlessness, with some accounts claiming the town averaged a murder a week. And like many other mining towns, the boom was short-lived. In 1877, a fire raged throughout the mines, destroying much of the infrastructure. Shortly after, the price of silver and lead plummeted, and by 1888, the town was mostly abandoned, with just a few dozen residents remaining. This was not to be the end of Cerro Gordo's story, however, because in 1911, significant amounts of zinc were found in the mines, leading to another boom, as Cerro Gordo became the largest producer of zinc in the country. At this time, aerial tramways were constructed to take the ore down the mountain, and this second boom lasted until the early 1930s, when the minerals dried up and the town was essentially abandoned. Then in 2018, the town was bought by Brent Underwood, who has a great YouTube channel called Ghost Town Living, chronicling his time spent here. We had the opportunity to meet and chat with Brent while we were here, and he was an incredibly gracious host. Although he does request that people don't film in the town, which of course we respected, and it's why you won't see footage of us walking around and exploring the town, which we did for over an hour. Wow, what a cool town that was. Brent was super nice and accommodating. The owner of Cerro Gordo gave us kind of the story and the history. And he said that there were 4,000 people here.
Which is wild to
at one
think.
point. Yeah, I don't know where you put 4,000 people here, but it's amazing. And they've got a great museum. He's done a really good job keeping this place preserved and building it back up. And what an amazing, amazing spot. So really enjoyed our time here, but now we need to work our way down the mountain. So that is what we're gonna do next. What a road this is, and what a great way to cap off our trip, or at least our time on trails. The descent from Cerro Gordo is amazing. We're still in it. Now we're in this canyon, which I was totally not expecting, but it's beautiful. But up above, the views that you get of the mountains and the dry lake bed, I guess it is, oh man, it's just amazing. And I really kind of wish we had camped up there. There was a camp spot we passed that would have been amazing if it hadn't been windy, and we've been looking for camp. But anyway, this trail has not disappointed. It has far exceeded my expectations. I'm loving every second of it.
All right, so we made it to the end of the trail and we're about to hit pavement. So everyone's gonna air up their trucks, and this ultimately marks the end of our trip. We have gotten to see so many awesome parts of the desert in Southern California. I'd never been to Joshua Tree, doing Old Dale Road, Pinkham Canyon, Purdue Canyon. That was awesome. And then going down to Anza-Borrego. Anza-Borrego was, I think, my favorite. Definitely pushed me out of my comfort zone, but it was a ton of fun. And then getting into Death Valley National Park and seeing parts of Death Valley that we had never seen before was awesome. To go from maybe below sea level all the way up to 8,000 feet was amazing. Visiting Tea Kettle Junction and Racetrack Playa, those were just awesome highlights to Death Valley National Park. Once all the trucks are aired up, we're gonna head into town and we're gonna have one final meal together before we're all gonna end up leaving and going our separate ways and getting back to reality. I'm super glad that we did this trip. So much fun. Can't wait for the next adventure.